I've had a few people who have messaged me and said, I'm really lost. I'm not sure what to do. So what I want to do is I want to go back through and I want to explain what you should have done over the past 2 weeks. And hopefully if I can kind of summarize and explain how it all fits together, you guys will have a better idea of what to do. Now, before I do that, I want to point out that whenever you're doing this, you need to be 100% focused in on a lesson. These lessons are a little more complex. What you're doing is a little more complex. You cannot half pay attention to it and expect to really understand what to do. You need to, I know how teenagers are, so I know that some of you are probably watching the lessons with your phone sitting beside you, and you're distracted every so minutes with a message or a Snapchat or some type of social media. You can't focus in the lesson if that's the case. Some of you are probably trying to watch TV in the background. You can't pay attention to what I'm going over. These lessons need your undivided attention. And if you don't have your undivided attention focused in on these lessons, you're not really going to get everything you need to get. This isn't just some little easy lesson to do. This is more complex. You need to focus in. All right, so my goal for today in this video is to go through, and I'm going to go back through the past 2 weeks, and I'm just going to do a very brief overview of what we've done so that you can choose which videos you need to go back to, which ones you're still confused on, and you can focus in on what you need, all right? Because if I start talking about something and you're like, that's where I got lost, then you can go back and watch that video, or you can ask me a specific question about where you got lost, okay? So we started a modest proposal in week 2. This is right after Christmas break, so week 2 of quarter 2. So, all right. So let's just talk about what we did during this week. So that Monday, you had the Nearpod, and I know a lot of people were having trouble with the video and Nearpod for some reason. It's a Nearpod issue. So what I need you to do is just skip over the video and do the rest of the Nearpod, because what's in the rest of the Nearpod on the slides and so forth is the same information that's in the video. So you're not missing out on anything. Then once you finish that, Nearpod is not graded. The Nearpod is to give you the information. The grade comes from the quiz. All right, so that's a minor grade on that quiz. So all you had to do Monday was a Nearpod to learn about Ethos, Pathos, Logos, and then a quiz on Ethos, Pathos, Logos. All right, so let's go back. So in class on that Monday, we were having a lot of issues with trying to get the Wi-Fi to work and documents to work and so forth. Nearpod was giving us trouble. So Tuesday was kind of a makeup day for all of those issues. Now, Wednesday and Thursday, these are the 2 days that I had the guided reading lessons for a modest proposal. Wednesday was the first part of that. Thursday was the second part of what we read. So let's look at Wednesday. Wednesday, you had to open up your text and notes. This is your document to open up. So you click on it and it opens up, and it's going to look like, all right, so mine says in progress, but yours is going to say my document. But whenever you open it up, whenever you click my document and you open it up, it's going to look like this. Now, whenever I do the video, it looks a little bit different just because I had a different vision of how I wanted this lesson to look. But regardless, I have a video attached that shows you how to take notes. To take notes, as I'm going through the video, like I'll stop and say, hey, this is pathos. This is an emotional appeal because da-da-da-da. This is logos. This is the logic because, and I'll give you an explanation. All you have to do is highlight whatever it is you want to take notes on, click add comment, and add your notes. So you should have been taking notes. I can probably go back and look at who took notes and who didn't, and the people who really did not take notes the way they needed to are probably the ones who are having the most trouble. If you're not sure how to take notes, I have this attached video on how it's going to look different on yours versus mine, because mine does look a little bit different in my lesson. All right, let's go back to the day. All right, so this is still on Wednesday. So you needed to open your notes. Then I had a guided reading notes lesson. Now, you're going to see that this looks a little bit different because this is what I had planned, was for it to be a side by side, but it didn't work out that way because Google Docs would not allow you to type in that. But what you see here is I'm going through and I'm pointing out all of this stuff, and then you can take notes by highlighting and commenting. Please pay attention to what I am talking about. Do not just go through and get the notes. You need to listen to my explanations. You need to listen to what I'm talking about, because I explain in great detail everything in a modest proposal. So there's Wednesday. All right, let's go back to the week. So Wednesday's lesson for a modest proposal was, the way that it's set up is, the first day we looked at how Jonathan Swift introduced the problem of poverty. And he talked about the problem. And he says, I have a solution. Then on Thursday, we actually looked at what his solution is. Now, before we get to the solution, I have this lesson that I did. Just like if we were in class, I would have done a lesson on satire. Here's a lesson on what satire is and how you can identify it. Then you're going to open up that same document from Wednesday, and you're going to go through and notice right here, you must complete the reading notes from yesterday before you can do today's assignment. Open your notes document of a modest proposal from yesterday, which you can find in your Google Drive. So you go to your Google Drive. All right, so we're here. Make sure that, see, this is my personal account. Make sure that you are in your school account. And then you should be able to go to your drive, and you should be able to pull up the document from Wednesday. You're going to get your notes. Okay? And then I go through, and this entire day is just where he says, I have a solution. Here's my solution. He explains how the solution is going to be explained. He explains how it's going to be carried out. He explains why it's going to work. And so there is your satirical solution. All right. And then you go to Friday. Friday of that week, pretty sure was just your test. All right. Oh, actually, my bad. Let me go back. Friday was actually makeup day. Thursday, at the end of Thursday, I forgot that we had this on the Thursday. So this is a minor grade. A modest proposal, ethos, pathos, logos, mind map. Guys, here are instructions right here. Those are the instructions. You can click on it right here, and literally it takes you through step by step what to do. All right. Then, if you're not sure, if you look at those steps and you still don't know what to do, you can click on this video where I explain and I'll walk you through how to do the mind map. Okay? It's a whole video of how to do the mind map. It's almost 6 minutes. So if you're not sure how to do the mind map, you need to do that. All right. Then Friday ended up being a makeup day because a lot of people were behind and a lot of people were having trouble understanding what to do. So Friday ended up being a makeup day. All right, so let's go to last week. And this is where maybe a lot of you are really getting lost. Okay, so quarter to week 3. And that Monday was your test. And then after the test, I had a video. And I cannot stress the importance enough of watching every video and every lesson that I have on here. All right, so you had your test, and then I had a video, the introduction to a modern day modest proposal. You were going to write, now the modern day modest proposal is what you are going to write. Modern day means today. So just like Jonathan Swift in a modest proposal from the 1700s said, hey, this is a problem. We need to come up with a solution. But then he gives a satirical solution, which you should understand all of that if you go through my videos. If you go through the lessons, then you should understand what I'm talking about whenever I talk about the problem and the satirical solution and the ethos, pathos, logos, and the irony. You should understand all of that if you've gone through my lessons on a modest proposal. So, you're going to watch this video where I just introduce what the modest proposal is going to be. Now, if you get lost in the video and you're not following along the video, then if you click on this gives it all in one page. And I know that like some people, they kind of need to see it all in one spot. And so that's why I have this. I uploaded this document. Because once you see this, you may have a better understanding of what's going on. So there are 4 parts to the essay. Part 1, you're going to explain the problem and set up what the problem is and explain it. Part 2, you're going to start convincing the audience that your idea will work, but you're not going to actually give the solution yet. Part 3, you're going to give them the satirical solution. It's going to be something outrageous, ludicrous, like crazy. And then part 4, you're going to reassure them that it's going to work. So it's just 4 parts, a minimum of 4 paragraphs. Please don't make this harder than what it is. It's at least 4 paragraphs. Like it probably would be better if you had maybe 6 paragraphs or so, but a minimum of 4 paragraphs. Okay, so let's go back to, I probably should have just went back to that Monday. Okay, so let's go back to Monday. So you have your test. That's on your test is on a modest proposal and ethos, pathos, logos. Then you're going to do a modest proposal, the modern day version, what you're going to write. Now, the pre-write on this day is not required. It was a way for you to start thinking. Some of this stuff I put on here, it's a way to help you. So, all that you had to do on this was think of 3 problems in our society. And I talk about it in the Modern Day Modest Proposal introduction for your synthesis essay. Sorry, it's going a little slow here. All right. You're going to write a modern day modest proposal. You're going to come up with a problem and give a satirical solution. So for this pre-write, this is just a very simple pre-write. I want you to think of 3 problems. I don't know, student apathy, vaping, and texting driving. 3 problems in our society. What do you already know about it? What do you already know about the first problem? What do you already know about the second? This is just what do you personally already know. Then I want you to come up with a satirical solution. Now, if you've watched my video on satire, if you have watched my lessons on a modest proposal, and you've listened to my explanation of what a satirical solution is and why it's satire, then you should understand what a satirical solution should be. Don't give me a real solution. Okay? Then you're going to choose one of those and you're going to write a thesis. There has come a great problem concerning. What is the problem? Therefore, there must be a solution in order to prevent. What is your solution going to prevent? What is your solution going to allow? Now, I talk about this in the video, so if you go back and you watch the lesson from that, I go into more detail on that. All right, so let's get out of this and let's go back to the week. That's all that you had to do on Monday. Tuesday. On Tuesday, I went through a sample. Now, you can watch my video sample. You can even pull up the sample. Here is the sample, the document. So you can pull this up, and this is a sample for you to go by. I wrote this years ago. I still use it because I feel like this is something that students aren't going to want to write about, but it's a way for me to give you an example without taking ideas that you would probably want to write about. So here's my example where I give you 3 pages and a works cited page. So there's the sample, and if you go to the Tuesday folder, I actually have a video where I walk you through the sample and I explain every part and I show you what each thing is, and I explain it in great detail. All right, so look, if you heard what I just said, I'm going to, in this video, use my sample to show you what has to be in your modern day modest proposal. So at this point, after you watch this video, you have two samples to go by. You have Jonathan Swift's sample of the modest proposal, the first one, the original, and then you have my sample. You have those two samples to go on to show you and to model your modern day modest proposal. Okay, so let's go back to Tuesday. So the first thing you need to do is you need to watch me explain the sample. Then you're going to do, now this is a minor grade, so you need to make sure you get it done. Okay. So it's very simple. What's your problem? What problem are you choosing? You know, I said earlier, I was like, you can pick whatever you want. You can do vaping, you can do texting, driving, you can do social media, you can do bullying, you can do, I mean, what are some problems in our society that you can see and that everybody realizes is a problem, but that no one is doing anything about, that no one wants to come up with a solution? Then you're going to list 3 reasons it's a problem. Okay, well, it's a problem. Here's 1, 2, 3 reasons. And then, you know, if people will follow my solution, which you haven't given yet, then it's going to help this, it's going to help with this, and it's going to help that. All right. Now, I have given you a sample down here. So my sample is government spending in America. Why is it a problem? Here are my 3 reasons. What is this going to help? It's going to fix the government. We're going to have more money to spend, and we won't have to repay debt. So I'm not actually giving my solution yet. Then the second part, so the first part is about the problem. The second part is about the solution. The third part is the persuasive techniques and irony. I have a video. Let's go back to Tuesday. All right. Whenever I talk about the sample modern day modest proposal, guess what I have at the end of it? I'm explaining to you. Let me double check and make sure it's there. So this may have been a different video. This may have been on the next day, maybe. All right, so all right, so I don't actually go through the explanation there. I know that I did it at one point. I may have been doing it one-on-one with a student, but regardless, I just talked about what you do for that pre-write. So if the pre-write was something that was catching you, if the pre-write was something that you were having trouble with, then hopefully what I just said a few minutes ago, that may help you. So the modern day modest proposal pre-write. First thing, what is the problem? Why are 3 reasons to problem? How will your solution help solve it? But don't give your solution yet. Just say, hey, my solution is going to help with this, this, and this. Then what is your satirical solution? It cannot be a real solution. It needs to be something that is over the top, something that's the opposite of what you think, something that's exaggerated, something that's ironic. All right? Then explain how it's going to be carried out. Like, what are some details about your solution? Give 3 of those. All right? And then give me 2 or 3 benefits of the solution. Like, what's going to help? And then how can you use persuasive techniques and irony? All right. I feel like I have a video on this somewhere, so I may be able to upload that if I haven't already. I'm going to go back and look for it. Okay. So that's all Tuesday. So all you had to do on Tuesday was watch my sample and do your pre-write. All right, so on Wednesday, and then also on Tuesday, I wanted you to start drafting. That was really more for you. That was not for me. I don't need your draft. I need your pre-write. I don't need your draft. All right, so Wednesday is I had a lesson on how to find your sources. And I'm not going to go through the whole lesson on how to find sources because I have a really long lesson on that. So the first thing you're going to do is watch this video about how to use Alabama Virtual Library, how to do MLA sources in an annotated bibliography. There's a quick little video on how to find credible websites. Then you're going to find your sources. You are actually going to go to Alabama Virtual Library. You are going to find your sources, find what you want to use, and you're going to do your annotated bibliography. Now, I explain it in this video. If you don't watch my lesson, you're not going to understand what to do. But if you watch my lesson, I'm going to pull it up. Because I know for sure that in this lesson, I talk about Alabama Virtual Library, and then I talk about MLA format and citations in the same thing. All of this is me just explaining how to find sources. Then at the end here, so in around minute 21, I explain how to do an annotated bibliography. Okay? So you need to watch the video on how to do an annotated bibliography. All right, so let's go back to Wednesday. Let's make sure that we've gone through everything for Wednesday. So watch the video, go and find your own personal sources, and then do your annotated bibliography and submit it. That's going to be a minor grade. Okay, so we're getting towards the end here, guys. Thursday was actually really easy. Thursday was just a very quick, which a career coach came in, so if you wanted to use any of that stuff, you can. All right. I listed out everything that needed to be done before you get to the lesson on that Thursday. I'm going to pull this down to the bottom because that's just going to confuse a lot of you because it's just extra. Okay. All right, so before you get to today's lesson, you need to make sure you get all of this done. Okay? Then I have a video on how to set up MLA format. Then after that, all you're doing is you're working on your final essay. Okay? And you're just typing and writing and putting in MLA format. Now, what I'm going to do at the end of this video, this is something new. And let me pull this up. How are you going to be graded on this? And I'm going to have a separate video on this as well. So, part of what you're going to be graded on is, did you put it in MLA format? I have a whole video on how to set up an MLA format. You should get that 10 points. That should be an easy 10 points. Part 1. Did you introduce the problem? Are your ideas well developed? Do your ideas flow or transitions used? I'm going to actually add on this as well. You need to use some source information. Now, using source information means that you actually have some research in there. Okay? Use source information, and I'll even put this, research. All right? Then part 2, reasons as to why the solution will work. Those reasons should be convincing. The solution should not yet be stated. Your ideas need to flow and you need to use transitions. If you're not sure what I mean by part 2, you need to go back to my sample and you need to look at my sample. Part 3, this is where you actually give the solution. All right, that's where you actually give the solution, okay? Details explain how the solution will be carried out and how it solves the problem. Specific details included about how it will make things better. The solution must clearly be satirical, and your ideas must flow. Transitions must be used. Guys, if you do the pre-write that I gave you on Tuesday of this week, of the week, not this week that we're in right now, but last week. If you go through and you do that pre-write, you should have everything you need for this. Then part 4, reassure the reader that the plan will be successful if carried out. All right. So what do you need? What do you need to have? At least one of each is used for ethos, pathos, and logos. It must logically connect with other information, and the quality of persuasive technique will also go into that. All right. Grammar and usage, citations. I talk about citations whenever I talk about Alabama Virtual Library, MLA, in your work, in your annotated bibliography. I talk about citations. I also talk about citations when I talk about MLA format. Then your works cited page, I talk about that when I talk about MLA format in your annotated bibliography. Don't plagiarize your paper. And then this is not going to apply to you guys. Although I do want it turned in a timely manner so that I can grade it, I'm not going to be a stickler on it being a little bit late if you need a little bit of extra time, okay? So that's how you're going to be graded, and it's really due today. That's my goal. That's my deadline, is today. However, if you need more time, you can get in touch with me. Let me know where you are. If I can see that you're working, if I can see that you've done pre-write and the annotated bibliography, then I know that you're working on your essay, and I know that you're trying to get it done, okay? So if you still have questions at this point, you need to come to Google Meet. I cannot explain how to do this in a message. It is too much. Come to Google Meet. I will help you one-on-one. I will try to help you narrow down your problem and your solution and all of that kind of stuff and make sure that you're on the right track. But you need to come to Google Meet so that we can talk and we can share screens and so forth, okay? All right, if you have questions, come to Google Meet. If I'm not in Google Meet, like if it's during my plan block or during my lunch, or I actually do have other classes that I teach. So if it's not during your block, then you might need to send a Schoology message that says, hey, when can we set up on Google Meet? And I will let you know. But I'm always here during your class block. And then after that, if I'm not here, then you can message me and we'll figure out a specific time during the school day that I can meet with you, okay?